Welcome back, everybody. We're going to be solving equations today, multi-step equations. Basically breaks down to 5 steps, and depending on the problem you may not need to do all of the steps. Step 1, identify the variable. That seems easy. However, I want you to get your focus on what the thing is we're trying to solve for. What is that letter? Identify the variable. Depending on the problem, you may have to do step 2, simplify or combine like terms. You may not always have to do that. Step 3, see what's happening to the variable. Is it being added, subtracted, multiplied, divide? And step 4 is key here. Step 4 is knowing what the opposite is of whatever's being done to the variable. Is the opposite of addition subtraction, the opposite of multiplication is division, and undoing what you see. That's how we solve for variables. And we make sure also in step 4 we're doing it to both sides of the equation to keep the equation balanced. Step 5 is optional. If you're just unsure of an answer, you can always check it. Let's have a look at an example here. We're solving for g. 3g plus 2 equals 38. Let me rewrite this first here. So, like we said, step 1 is our find the variable, which is g. And look at what's happening to it. We're multiplying by 3. We're also adding 2. We're going to get rid of that 2 first. I'm going to take away 2 from both sides of the equation. Notice I have to do it to both sides to keep the equation balanced. And then I have 3g equals 36 because 38 minus 2 is 36. And then to undo multiplication, I'm going to divide. I'll show that with the little fraction bar. Divide by 3, divide by 3. Notice I do it to both sides of the equation. And 36 divided by 3 is 12. That appears to be our answer. Now, to check it, that's step 5, to make sure this works, we can take this 12, substitute it back into g just to verify. Alright, so we're going to check it here. 3 times 12 plus 2 equals 38. Is that a true statement? Let's follow our order of operations here. 3 times 12 is 36. So then we have the 36 plus 2. And we can see here that 36 plus 2 is 38. And notice both sides of the equation is equal. 38 equals 38. So yep, this works out. I won't do this for every example. However, I just want to show you that you can take your answer, substitute it back in to see if it works and see if you did the problem right. Let's look at another example here. Rewrite it here. I'm going to have 2y minus 3. Now when you type it, it kind of looks like it does up here. I'll write it like this, times 5, or divide by 5 equals 5. Okay, 3 things are happening. We have variable y, there it is right there. It's getting multiplied by 2, we're subtracting 3, but we're also dividing by this 5 here. So, let's get rid of that 5 first. Here's how we're going to undo divide by 5. We're going to multiply by 5. And if you multiply by 5 on one side, do it to the other. The right side of the equation, 5 times 5 is 25. Now, notice the 5 on the top, 5 on the bottom, they cancel out. We say cancel out. What they really mean, 5 over 5 is really equal to 1. And we don't have to write 1 when simplifying and using it in math. So that's really what's going on. So we say cancel out, but that's really just becoming the number 1. And we're just left with the rest of the numerator, 2y minus 3. Now it kind of looks like the previous problem. Let's get rid of minus 3 by adding 3 to both sides. And then 25 plus 3, we didn't do anything with 2y. 25 plus 3 is 28. And then we're going to get rid of this 2. 2 times y, the opposite of multiply is divide. Alright, and then that leaves us with y equals 28 divided by 2, 14. Our answer to this problem is 14. And if you were unsure, you could always take the 14, substitute it back into y, simplify, and see if both sides of the equation are true. Let's look at another one here, this time with variable e. Alright, we have some simplifying to do first. We identify the variable e, and it looks like we have a typo here. Let's fix that. Yeah, this right here should also be an e. Alright, and we'll rewrite it first. 3 times e minus 4 plus 5e equals 44. All right, 3 times e. We're going to distribute that 3 to the e to get 3e, and 3 times 4 is 12. So when we apply the distributive property, multiply the 3 times each thing inside the parentheses. Then we have a 5e here. Didn't do anything with that. Didn't do anything with the 44 either. Look at our like terms though. We have a 3e and a 5e. Those come together to make 8e. We have 8e minus 12 equals 44. We're going to get rid of the 12 by adding it. See, we're doing the opposite of what we see. We see minus 12, we go plus 12. All right, we're then left with 8e. We didn't do anything with 8e yet. 44 and 12 makes 56. And then we're going to divide both sides by the 8. 8 times e, the opposite of multiply is divide. E is going to equal, in this problem, 7. There you go. All right, I've got another one here. This time with v, solving for v. We've got negative 140 equals 18 plus 4 times 5v minus 2. All right, got a distributive property to do there on the right side. The 4 multiplies to the 5v to get 20v. The 4 multiplies to the negative 2 to give us negative 8. Notice our like terms here. We got an 18 and a negative 8. Will come together to make 10. Still have the 140 negative on the left. 10 plus 20v. We want to get rid of 10 by subtracting it. We'll subtract it to on the right. We'll subtract it on the left. Now pay attention to your negative signs on the left side. A negative 140 minus 10 can also be thought of negative 140 plus negative 10. Gives us negative 150. All right, one more step. 20 is being multiplied by v. Let's do the opposite of multiply. Let's divide. Divide by 20. All right, and then v is going to equal negative 150 divided by 20. Quick computation in the calculator, we get a negative 7.5. And again, notice the 20 over 20 here. We like to say it cancels out, but it really becomes the number 1, which you don't have to write. 1 times v is still just v. All right, now we're going to spend a little time talking about absolute value equations. Yes, they fall under multi-step equations. But the whole idea about absolute value is distance from 0. All right, so let's say I had the absolute value of 5. That would equal 5. So what this is saying is absolute value, well, how far is positive 5 from 0 on a number line? That's the definition of absolute value, how far it is from 0 on a number line. 5 is 5 units away from 0 on the number line. But then so is negative 5. So is negative 5. Negative 5 is 5 units. So when sometimes students say the answer to absolute value is always positive, yes, mechanically it is, but you got to understand what's really going on. It's a distance from 0. Any number, positive and negative of the same thing, is always that many units from 0. Positive 5 is 5 units from 0. Negative 5 is 5 units from 0. This concept dictates how we solve absolute value equations, and what I want you to focus on is whatever's inside the absolute value symbol, these two vertical bars, could be positive, could be negative, and that's how we're going to solve this absolute value equation. Notice what it is. We have an absolute value of 2 plus n. Let's rewrite it first. 1 plus the absolute value of 2 plus n equals 9. Step 1 in solving absolute value equations, isolate the absolute value. This absolute value of 2 plus n, pretend that's a giant variable. If you needed, you can just kind of pretend it's a giant x. And we want to solve that giant x. We want to get it by itself, and the first thing we'll do is take away this 9, or this 1. So we have the giant x, which really is 2 plus n. And it equals 8. All right, now whatever is inside the absolute value here, the 2 plus n, whatever is inside here, it could be equal to -8 or +8, because notice it says the absolute value of this stuff is 8. Whatever's inside here could equal +8 or -8, because that's how absolute value works. Something has a distance of 8 from 0. Well, there's two things that have a distance of 8 from 0, +8 and -8. And that is why when you deal with absolute values, you break it into two equations. Could equal -8, whatever's inside, and could equal +8. And let's just write what was inside, the 2 plus n. The 2 plus n over here. So really there's two equations to solve, setting it equal to -8 and +8, and then we solve like normal. Subtract 2, subtract 2. In this case, n could equal -10, or if we do the same thing over here, take away 2, take away 2, n could equal 6. Two answers. Whenever you deal with absolute value, almost always, you have two answers. In this case, n could be -10 or n could be +6. And if we were to plug -10 or 6 back into the original equation for n, solve that, simplify it, both of those answers do make it equal to 9. Thank you for watching. I hope this helped.